Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And according to Big C, we're the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course, our great country of Canada, our home and native land. Big C, you can see I've been working on that Canada rendition, but there's still no one I love more than all the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Today is a beautiful August the 18th, 2017. Big C, how's it going in your neck of the woods, Big C? I think we tried to get Big C up, but it looks like we lost his microphone again. I think he's down there. You know, there was a movie back in the day, I think it's called Orca. And Orca was about this killer whale that kept eating people. Big C, the Orca eats your microphone. Is the storm that bad down south, Big C? We're still having a hard time getting Big C's microphone. We're going to have him call in later. But I do want to say today's segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. And so many great things happening in this great country. Among bad things, too, I know we've had a lot of good and bad happen in the world of the land of the free and the home of the brave, also across the pond in Europe. So I do want to say our thoughts go out to the people who lost their lives in Europe. And so I think we're getting Big C back on the line. But I do want to just say again, we're still thinking about the people in Europe that we lost. And hopefully we can have some peace around the world. I know it's tough for a lot of people, especially when you don't have all the things that we've been doing over the United States and the protests that are going on, the things happening in Europe. A lot of good things and bad things happening. But like we always say, Big C, I think that sports will bring our country together. I'm not trying to make it simplify it, but it is something to get away from all the nonsense and try to enjoy each other. Big C, your thoughts? Yeah.
Just don't. But you know what's going on in society is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week event.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we can't dodge. I mean, sports is arrested periodically between all of what occurs. I mean, it's something that eases the individual.
Yeah.
But we go back to reality after that sporting event is over, Charlton, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. And obviously, you know, today is a gorgeous day here, at least in California, and I know other parts of the country. Maybe people can get away from the TV sets for a while and just realize that there's still more to life than watching what's going wrong in our society. But I do want to say you're very prescient about some things that have happened. And it's okay to jump on the bandwagon after it happens, but you were saying that Bannon would not last through the summer. And we don't know if POTUS, there's a lot of thoughts that POTUS may resign either before the holiday season comes up, Big C. But I want to ask you, your thoughts on Bannon, I guess, being fired. He said he stepped down. But I guess Trump has kicked him out. Trump still hasn't realized he's left The Apprentice, Big C. Your thoughts?
No, I think it was a combination of the two. So Bannon did some interviews last week.
Yeah.
And that kind of irks Trump when someone gets in the forefront of him at the White House. If you think about everybody who has disappeared from the White House, they have given some media outlets some input.
Yeah.
And that's not what he wants. You know, he wants to be commander-in-chief and the guys, he wants his dictatorship.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's trying to run a dictatorship. And Bannon, Trump has been in the White House even before he got in the White House.
Yeah.
Has received consistent publicity because he had ran Breitbart News.
Yeah.
He's going to go back to Breitbart News. Now, Breitbart was the leader of the neo-Nazi movement and white supremacy movement in America.
Yeah.
And so that was the main reason that Trump had brought him on, and that was one of the reasons that Trump did not want to lambaste these people after last week's event in Virginia, Charlton. He never declared them as domestic terrorists. Even though what they did was a terrorist act, especially the individual, Charlton, running down those innocent American citizens on the street with the car.
Yeah.
You know, he almost forgot about this individual, Charlton, who had done this heinous crime. And it was a criminal act.
Yeah.
But, you know, with Bannon out of the White House has been in total disarray ever since it's gotten started. And if you look at the president's immediate cabinet right now, only the vice president Pence is left. Now, will Pence become the president before the next?
He's hoping so. He's hoping so, Big C. I'm
about to go to Vegas and lay a bet on that.
Hey, a lot of people already beat you there.
The odds are pretty good that Pence becoming president, Charlton, before the next 6 months.
Who would have thought we're going to be down in Las Vegas next week? I'll be down in Las Vegas covering the McGregor and Floyd Money Mayweather, obviously. But who would have thought that Bannon would have gotten knocked out before one of these guys gets knocked out? Because you thought.
Bannon had his finger on the pulse, and he was one of the major, reasons that Trump got elected.
Yeah.
We must not forget that.
Yeah.
He had a huge base, and that base followed him. That base is a separatist base, Charlton, and thinks of America in one direction.
Yeah.
And in one color. And so that's what Bannon brought to Trump, getting him in the White House. Loves that himself.
Yeah.
That's how he looks at America.
Yeah.
So that one colored glass.
Yeah.
He doesn't look at it as multiracial.
Yeah.
In America. And we can see that in the past 2 days, as the White House goes, he's always praising the stock market. He hasn't said anything about the stock market in the last 2 days at the largest 2-day fall in history.
Yeah.
And his watch has dropped over 10
Yeah.
in the last 2 days. So he was talking about how the stock market, the stock market is watching him.
Yeah.
And when we look at that, look at Trump, who was like Jay Cutler of the political realm.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yes, he doesn't care. He's getting free money. He's getting free publicity. He doesn't care. And it's not that he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what people thought about when they elected a 70-year-old man who is now 71 years old.
Yeah.
When you're 71 years old, Charles, you're not in touch with society.
Cantankerous too. Yeah. Yeah. Crotchety old man.
You're a billionaire, so there's nothing in society that will hurt you or affect you. You don't have that much long to live compared to everybody that you're governing.
Yeah.
And so the actions that you take are for immediate gratification for the societal over a 10 to 20-year reign. That's what presidents do.
Well,
They set up a 10 to 20-year legacy.
Yeah.
He's taking care of his family and his right now.
Well, I think what happens in the United States, and of course we are the land of the free and the home of the brave, a lot of people were afraid. Like, we did have this dictatorship, and I think Bannon is also prescient. He said the Trump White House that we've won and fought for is over. The presidency is over. So he knows that there's been a lot of talk that Donald Trump is actually going to resign or be impeached. Especially, he may even go to prison if this investigation goes through with Russia. That's something you're going to be hearing about more or later. I know, Big C, a lot of things you say, people think, oh, they're just two sports guys talking. But you said he would be out of office before the summer's over. I think we're still in summertime as far as I know. And then Trump, with all this Russian going on, this Russian investigation, there's some talk of criminal charges being brought against the president of the United States. So there's also talk that he's going to resign. And I think a lot of people just want to watch the score, but that's the biggest score in the history of the United States since Nixon, Big C. But I just want to get onto a few more things, and I hope that the world can see one thing that I'm very proud of. The fact is, America is the land of the free. It is the home of the brave. Unlike some countries, like in Russia, you can't criticize Putin. You might show up missing, and there have been many people showing up missing in the media that criticize him.
And that's why the population keeps dwindling.
Yeah, and that's a fact. That's a fact. People can Google that. But at least in the United States, there's two things that I'm emboldened by. Yeah, we love sports, and sports is galvanizing, but there are no sports if our world's in chaos. And I think that so many people in the United States, they probably read the Constitution in the last year, and they realize that we do have freedom of speech, that we're not supposed to be afraid to criticize people in power. And I'm so proud that not just the young people, but even older people, our military commanders that keep America safe, they don't want to put up with any racist garbage, Big C. That's what I'm really emboldened by, Big C. Your thoughts?
It's the education. You talk about that little thing on Google on your phone and all that.
Yeah.
That has empowered so many people in America. I don't care whether you're looking for history, whether you're looking for sports, whether you're looking for scores. Google gives you instant information.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why they no longer have history books in grade school and high school. Because people can Google and get the real facts instead of alternative facts that they've been told for decades.
And that's a fact.
You no longer have to live behind the story of a certain individual saying this is how things were.
Yeah.
You can go to the facts.
And I think that's very true. We're still working on your microphone issue, Big C. We'll get that fixed right away. But I still say that I'm very proud to see I'm American. And I think this is something else, too. I want to just pat you on the back with the Big C Sports. I do want that moonshine that I've been asking for, Big C. But when you say something and it becomes true, people say, oh, he's prescient. You're not guessing when you've been saying things that are going to happen that are happening, okay? Because you have a lot of inside knowledge. But also the pulse before the Trump resignation that will happen. I mean, a lot of people say, well, that's not true. That's not true. Just watch. It's going to happen. Even Bannon just told you that. And I hope our country stays strong because we don't need neo-Nazis leading the White House. And if we call it that, that's a fact. In Europe, there are no swastikas hanging around because they know the Holocaust, they never want that to be repeated again. So they don't even play with it. And the fact that Trump played with this racism is still in the United States. I was not aware that there's so many Nazi hate groups that still exist. They were just kind of in hibernation. But this guy woke him up, and to have our chief military leaders shout that down, that gives me a lot of hope, and I think it restores some of our confidence to the other world leaders that America is a place of something you can call class, but also dignity, and that we do stand behind our Constitution. And when someone comes along, they're not bigger than the United States Constitution. I think that emboldens other countries around the world, too, that they can look at America as Ronald Reagan said, that beacon of light on the hill. I think that's fair, Big C. We'll get one more thought on that, and then we'll head into the sports. Big C, your thoughts.
Well, Trump, it is the beacon of light. When we look at America for leadership around the world, it has led so many NATO countries, Charlton, as the forebearer. But, Trump came along trying to disband it, talking about it was about economics. The world is more than economics. I mean, it is the wheel that runs that vehicle.
Yeah.
But, Charlton, without all those supporting spokes within that wheel is very weak.
Yeah.
And some countries just economically can't afford what we can afford. I mean, we've been a relentless tyrant for taking things from the world.
Yeah.
We have as a country.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that even though we're a great country, we've done this to other countries.
Native Americans. Other countries, Native Americans, this is our country. That's their country first, Big C.
So for America to go out and be that beacon around the world that other countries can look forward to, Charlton, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's not. Trump, saying, well, I'm going to save America money, but, how much money has he cost America not paying his taxes?
Yeah.
That's one of the things. And if he's not paying his taxes, think about how many people that he knows as well as family members that are not paying him also.
Yeah.
But for a president, he's bold in the sports when he said, don't sign Colin Kaepernick because he stood against the military. He didn't stand against the military. Colin Kaepernick's stance was as much against domestic battery on women, battery on minorities, than more ever than it was against the military.
Yeah.
People wanted to twist what he was saying. But Josh Brown was beating his wife, his ex-wife, while Colin Kaepernick was saying, we can't accept this in society.
Yeah, and I agree.
The Barra family said nothing about that. They go, well, we're going to say that he's standing against the military. He's not standing against Josh Brown, who's beating up his wife. He's not standing against Greg Hardy, who's being convicted for beating up a woman. He wasn't standing against all these other NFL players that have these criminal intent, as well as in society, Charles. We have injustice against minorities in society.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick did this. People will keep saying, well, why do you keep talking about Colin Kaepernick? When will America get equality? That's when we'll stop talking about Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Big C. So obviously, there's still a segment of our society that wants to stay dumb. But among them, you can't say Richard Trumka, the head of the AFL-CIO, of all the unions in the United States of America. You look at Kenneth Frazier from Merck. You have Under Armour, Intel, 3M, Campbell, just a lot of people. So Walmart, and they don't pay insurance to their employees, so that's another issue. We got to fix that too, Big C. But I'm still proud that in the land of the free, the home of the brave, we can really say that. And that politics, people say you can be bought. I don't think you can buy Congress. Maybe I'm naive, Big C, but at least they're doing the right thing in the investigation of Trump. I do want to touch on a few things. After we come back from this break, I want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark, and they cover every pro league, collegiate league, high schools, and your mom and pop soccer leagues. And if you have any questions about them, let them know that Big C sent you. Big C, I think with all the things that have happened in the White House, whether it's LeBron James or Durant, and we have baseball happening, and we can go back and forth, but baseball, just want people to keep in mind Boston. There's a lot of talk about should they take down the signs on the street for Boston, but they are leading the AL East. They're 69 and 51, Cleveland 66 and 53, followed by Houston 74 and 47. Houston's a great team, but my goodness, there's no excitement down there in Texas playing in a dome. It just seems an oxymoron to have baseball, America's game, played in a dome. And I know there's so humidity down there, they have to have that. In the National League, Washington, 72 and 47. Chicago, the Big C Cubs, are 64-57, and the LA Dodgers, the best record in baseball, at 85-34. And you think about all the great baseball that's been played over the United States of America, and to have the Dodgers, a team that came out here from the East Coast, if they could put another championship together this year, that would be great for the West Coast. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you look at the Dodgers, Jonathan, this is a team that's almost 50 games above 500.
Yeah.
That's an unheard of number. At this point of the season to be 50 games above 500, they ain't on a record.
Yeah.
But it's great for baseball, as you said. You brought the promise back to the West Coast, where you have a dominant team in baseball. And baseball is better when you have that East Coast West Coast rivalry.
Oh yeah.
The Dodgers have always been a stable franchise. Magic Johnson is a part of the Dodgers organization.
Yeah, he owns everything.
Yeah. Several years ago, Magic puts his fingers on things and things get better.
Yeah.
He put his finger on the Dodgers, now he's put his finger on the Lakers. So, the West Coast and the LA Basin is going to become a prominent sports figure once again in the world. I don't know if he's going to become part of the Rams.
From what I hear, he might be trying out for quarterback anytime soon, Bixby. You may have heard that first on Bixby's work.
Well, it's wide open. They don't have one.
Yeah, that's funny. Hey, speaking of quarterback, I heard the good old boys were saying down in Jacksonville, Blake Bortles, they were saying the competition for quarterback is still open. I think Blake's never won more than 5 games in a year, Bixby. It's always open if that's the record of your quarterback, Bixby. That make any sense?
Ever since Blake was the number 1 draft pick in the NFL, some 5 years ago, Jonathan.
Yeah.
The Jacksonville Jaguars is always drafted in the top 5. Think about that.
Yeah.
You draft a kid who's a franchise quarterback, who's the best player on the board. This is what the draft people say.
Yeah.
He's the best player on the board, okay?
Yeah.
And I believe Derek Carr went in that same draft, Jonathan.
Yeah.
That Blake Bortles went in the second round, inside the $125 million contract.
Yeah.
With a long extension with the Raiders. Had his team win, 12 games last year?
Yeah, 12 games.
It takes Blake Bortles 3 years to win 12 games.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be the face of the NFL when he was drafted. His backup quarterback, Chad Henne, who was drafted a decade ago by the Dolphins, looks way better.
Yeah.
And Chad Henne hasn't played in 2 years, Jonathan. He's taken 1 snap in the NFL, and that was just taking the ball on the last play of the game and downing it. He hasn't thrown a pass in the NFL in 2 years. It looks better than the quarterback that has been starting for the last 4 years for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Blake Bortles has a mental problem, evidently. Because he is skittish. I mean, he just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to put yourself with some people during the offseason who understand the game of the NFL. You just can't say, well, I was the number 1 draft pick overall. I got this big contract.
Yeah.
I got guaranteed money. So I'm going to be the starter.
Yeah.
But he's going to be starting his way out the door, after this season in Jacksonville. They're not going to keep him around.
Yeah.
They may not even keep him this year, Johnson, because the Doug Marrone, the head coach, said, I don't even want him to throw a pass in the game. Now, when you got your head coach giving you
Run it.
sign off, said, hey, just hand the ball off. We're safer.
Just hand it off.
Let them put 11 men in the box. I'd rather them have 11 men in the box against a running play than having you throw the ball.
Oh, that's funny, Big C.
That's your head coach saying that you're pathetic.
Yeah, and so obviously, we wish everybody well, but I still marvel, and I look at Cutler. Obviously, he had 1 game, but I just look at Cutler, and I wish the man well, but obviously, what was he, 3 of 6, and had 24 yards, 22 yards passing. It's just preseason, I know, but he doesn't strike me that he has the same kind of passion that, say, a Tom Brady or someone like, even if you look at on the West Coast, you look at Carr, how much passion he has. Cam Newton, these guys have passion for the game, but it's all up to the coach and the ownership. That's what they hired, and so that's what they want to go with. I do want to ask you a little bit going into the season, and I know we're still about 2 weeks from kickoff, but in the AFC, everyone wants to go with the Patriots just because it's an easy pick. But if it's someone that could meet them, let's say in the AFC Championship game, I'm looking at the Raiders as a team, at least offensively, that can challenge anybody. The Steelers with their run game, along with Big Ben, they're tough. I still think Tennessee's good, and I just want to get your thoughts. Any sleepy team out there that you think can challenge and sneak up on a team in the AFC Championship game? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the NFL has always been any given Sunday.
Yeah.
But you've always been a champion until you've been dethroned.
Yeah.
It's like last year with the Golden State Warriors. They were the champion until Game 7 of the title 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, when Cleveland knocked them off. They have been the reigning champions. The same thing with the Patriots and the reigning champions. The one problem that you have with teams when they come play the reigning champion, Jonathan,
Yeah.
is that they play their best game on that day.
Yeah.
Whether it's during the regular season, whether it's during the playoffs.
Yeah.
And sometimes emotion gets in the way, Jones, because they're so hyped.
Yeah.
And, that 1 or 2 bad plays that you make, it can cost you that game.
Yeah.
You think about the Patriots, they've lost 2 Super Bowls to the Giants. Now, the Giants were never the favorites going in. Matter of fact, they were a wild card team each one of those Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But they played their best game defensively against the Patriots on those 2 occasions.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is have a couple good plays, and we saw that there were some lucky catches
Yeah.
made by a couple of receivers,
Yeah.
Kenningham and Tyree, that made Eli Manning look like a superstar.
Yeah.
Even though he had every piece with these players,
Yeah.
he can get outstanding and throws.
Yeah.
So, all you got to do is make 2 good plays in a football game, and you can beat
You can beat.
any pro game, any college.
Yeah.
You have 5 legitimate opportunities to score offensively.
Yeah.
Only 5. In
Yeah.
the entire 60 minutes, only 5.
Yeah.
It's a matter of whether you can capitalize on.
Well, let me ask you this question before we touch a little bit on some NFC teams. We talked about the Long family. Chris Long supports teammates Malcolm Jenkins during the national anthem. I think at some point in time, people are going to realize that Colin Kaepernick was right. If you have a president of the United States
What do
who,
you mean at some point in time? They realized he was right.
Yeah.
But the problem with Colin Kaepernick is that he made people see what they had stopped wanting
Yeah.
to see, okay?
Yeah.
He opened up that door that they had closed and put some nails in it.
Yeah.
Said, we're not going to let our ugly past rear its head. As long as we don't let people know about it, then the minorities are not going to think about it.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about all the lynchings in America. We're not going to talk about all the beatings in America. We're going to talk about all the killings in America. We're not going to talk about all the rape in America that we committed as a culture.
Yeah.
That's in the past. We need to get beyond that, okay?
Well, let me-
Even though you're incarcerating parties for doing these crimes also, and they are crimes, Sean,
Yeah.
and they should be. But you said you should pass on the against minorities and the crimes that you continue to commit. It should be okay. They should be beyond that now.
yeah, and so what I'm really proud of, I mean, we went in, you can go back even to Muhammad Ali, and obviously, a lot of my white brethren, they don't have the same problems with being racially profiled or even the criminal justice system. And to have someone like a Chris Long stand up, who's a wealthy man, who came from a wealthy family, his father's Howie Long, I'm just proud that some white guys are not ashamed to say what's right. I would have thought it would have been Tom Brady, but knowing what I know about Tom Brady, he's not going to say anything. He has nothing upside. I mean, there's just nothing there with Tom, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's a fact. And I would have thought maybe it'd be someone like a Roethlisberger, even though he had his own issues, but he's quiet about a lot of things. You're not going to hear anything. Well, Peyton Manning retired, but he didn't say anything to do anything that was right. But these are the paragons of virtue. Matt Ryan, they made these guys the NFL starlets. They want them to be the spokespersons. But you have someone like Long, who plays in the line. He's a lineman. And to have him say what some of these other guys, even your friend up there at Green Bay, he could have come out and said, he's from California. I mean, Rodgers is a kid from California. They've anointed him as a great quarterback. They want the quarterback to be the leader, but why not be the leader in doing what's right? But obviously, with Colin Kaepernick's stance and all the things happening in the White House, people got to say, you know what, Colin was right. He was just talking about it happening to black Americans, but now that we had, unfortunately, a white fatality, more people and seeing the president, how he's fanned that. Now they're standing up. And I just think, Colin Kaepernick on the back, whether he gets a job or not, he's been vindicated because all this garbage that's been going on in the White House is the same thing he told people he was fighting against. And a year later, he's exonerated, but people still may not give him credit, Big C. But I am proud of some of the white athletes, the ones who are not afraid to come out and say what's right, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charles, it's as simple as when they talk about a drug epidemic in America, okay?
Yeah.
Marijuana is no longer a drug epidemic, okay?
No.
But opiates are a drug epidemic. Opiates. But who is the ones using the opiates? The Caucasian.
Mainstream,
you
yeah.
You even have commercials on television.
I noticed.
About the opioid epidemic.
I've noticed that.
Rehab,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
But you don't see any commercials on marijuana rehab.
Yeah.
And they say that marijuana is a problem in the inner cities.
Yeah.
But not if, unfortunately, these people are dying in America weekly. 300 people at least are dying in America weekly from the opiate epidemic, Charles. But that's in the Caucasian community.
Yeah.
So now we're having, we get a rehab. We got to help these people.
Rehab instead of prison.
If you get a minority person with some marijuana, Charles,
they want to send them to jail. Yeah.
You're not trying to put opioid addicts in prison, Charles. You're trying to get rehab. And this is the same thing with Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Where he was talking about the injustice towards minorities from the other side.
Yeah.
And you're saying, well, we need to ostracize this guy. If we silence him by not giving him a job, then nobody else will pay attention. Unfortunately, Charlton, it's like this young lady who unfortunately lost her life in Virginia this last weekend, and her mother said, you thought you were silencing my daughter, but you just made her a lot louder.
Yeah.
And that's what the NFL has done with Colin Kaepernick. They didn't silence him. They made him a lot louder. And even the rest of the media, Charlton, has talked about Colin Kaepernick more since he has not been signed than what they did as a starter with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
Because they know of the injustice. They just can't use that certain terminology.
Yeah.
But they keep wondering why he hasn't been signed, and you're signing these up. You know, the Ravens, when they had Colin Kaepernick in, Charlton, instead of signing him, they signed a quarterback from the Arena League. They were saying that an Arena League quarterback was better than a guy who had gone to the Super Bowl against them.
Yeah.
That's what the owner said.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody else, the players, everybody's like, he would give us the best chance to win if Flacco's not here.
Well, you know, that...
It's not politicizing anymore, Charlton. It's not. It's racism.
Yeah, and I understand, and I'm so, you know, people always say, well, let's not talk about that, it's too early or it's too painful. Look at what's come out of a lot of pain. Even childbirth, from what I understand, is painful. I've never had it, Big C, but I understand people say it's painful, Big C. I let the women speak up for that. But all good things come out of pain. When you're trying to study for an exam, it's kind of painful when you're studying, going through final exams. When you're trying to lift weights, get bigger, stronger, and faster, it's painful on the body because it's stretching, it's growing. When you're facing something that's uncomfortable, talking about domestic abuse or violence in our society, it's uncomfortable because people don't want to hear that. But when we're not afraid of it and we tackle it, then we find the solution on the back end of the on the discomfort. So I say to all people, go out and find something that you're uncomfortable about. You don't grow until you're uncomfortable. And so America's growing because we've had the people that have the moral standard to come up and say, we don't want to tolerate that garbage. This is not 1940 anymore, and you can't have that type of behavior and live in the White House. And I'm finally seeing people that are making us proud to be Americans. I know that's a kind of a slogan we always say, but to hear people standing up and doing that, this is not just for our own pocketbook, this is for the next generation. We don't want them growing up in Jim Crow. We don't want them growing up with these KKK neo-Nazis running around and having jobs, working as dentists and doctors and lawyers. And you wonder why the criminal justice system is so slanted toward African Americans. I guarantee you a lot of those people in law enforcement from back in the day, it's just a fact, you can Google it too, a lot of the Klan members, they worked in regular law enforcement. That's just a fact, okay? You can Google that. So that's why we need criminal justice reform. So Colin Kaepernick, I'm proud of you. And I know you took a lot of the arrows and a lot of people stood behind you, but you took the punches, you took the arrows. But you've been vindicated by our military that denounces Trump, that's a bigot in the White House. And that's just a fact. You can Google that too, with this lawsuit against black Americans, not in the government housing, the New York 5, all that garbage. Just Google everything. Google the investigation with Russia and a lot more. That's a tidal wave coming down the pike, and that's why he's probably going to resign other than being impeached or in prison, Big C. I just want to touch on one more thing before we get off the show today, Big C. I know we talked about some of the NFC. If someone can challenge the NFC, Dallas, we don't know what's going to happen with Ezekiel Elliott. I think the Giants might be the best team in the NFC. I know Seattle's always going to be a strong team. Green Bay, they get a lot of hype, but they've only been to the Super Bowl once under Rodgers. But the Giants have been there multiple times under Manning. Your thoughts on who might be the best team to challenge the New York Giants in the NFC, Big C? Your thoughts? And I think we lost your microphone again. We're going to have to get that well. I know there was a story in the Bible about someone down in the bottom of a well. I don't know if it's true or not, Big C, but I know a lot of you good up boys go out there fishing. And I think you did find Julio Jones' earring. So we can't say it's because you're still looking for Julio Jones' earring, but I do know, and I think we're going to get you back on the line in just a second, Big C. But I do want to say for all the people who want to find out what's great about America, I think you've just seen it. You've seen the fact that Americans, we are a land of the free, a home of the brave. We do have our own opinions. And as I was saying, and I would believe in my heart because it's happened to me over the years, sports will actually bring our society together. I think we've seen the fact that sports has brought our society together. And the fact that people can agree and disagree, that's a good thing. Never be afraid to do what they teach us in college. And I think we're getting big feedback. They tell you in college, go out and dialogue with people. Go out and not necessarily have arguments, but constructive criticism. And we all have to check ourselves. We're never right 100% of the time. But Big C, I think one of the things that I'm so emboldened about with the Big C Sports Show is that we don't run for controversy. We don't run from it. In fact, we run to it like the Marines. But only by running to things that are real and just can you make our country great again. So we've talked about what football teams can challenge, and we're having some issues with your microphone, so we'll just deal with that next time. But I do want to say for all the people who think America's great, it's great because we participate. This democracy, you got to participate in it. And I'm so proud of the athletes, especially the ones who were told, we don't want to hear your opinion, you're just an athlete, you're a big, dumb, stupid jock. And some guys they are because they have nothing to say other than, yeah, maybe you're right. But the fact that all people realize that in America, it is okay to be argumentative and have a difference of opinion. Big C, as I get your last thoughts on who could challenge the New York Giants, and I'm so proud of how all the athletes are not afraid anymore. I mean, there's still some, but most guys are men enough to say, even if I'm wrong, I'm going to speak my opinion. Your thoughts on the Giants, Big C, and how proud we are of athletes starting to be conscious like Muhammad Ali was, Big C, your thoughts?
As great as the Giants can be offensively, Charlton, they also is weak offensively because it comes down to Eli Manning.
Yeah.
You know, how happy he gets throwing the ball to the opposing team. You know,
Yeah.
which he has led the NFL in on a couple occasions. They need to establish a running game. Having great receivers is always nice.
Yeah.
I mean, New England just has proven that you can win without a solid running game over the years.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you know, when you get that inclement weather, you're going to need that.
Yeah.
And everybody knows the solid receiving core that they have. But when you look around the NFC, I mean, there's a consistency in the NFC. The Eagles have really upgraded their receiving core. When you look at the Eagles and Giants receiving core,
Yeah.
they're paralleling each other as far as overall talent you have across the board.
Yeah.
And with the addition of some players, they got LeGarrette Blount, a solid running back there. Although they cut Ryan Matthews the other day so they passed the physical to save about $4 million in salary cap money. That's why the NFL is such a vicious business.
Yeah.
The Washington Redskins, I don't expect anything from Kirk Cousins. He lost his entire receiving corps. Something they all went elsewhere because he was getting the money and they couldn't.
Yeah.
And I really don't blame them for that.
Yeah.
But Dallas Cowboys, they're a solid team, Jonathan. They have some good running backs. I mean, they don't have Elliott, but you have a combination of Morris and McFadden that can, you know, duplicate what he did as a tandem.
Yeah.
If you use them in the right way, we'll really find out how good a quarterback Dak Prescott was.
Yeah.
You know, he was in the middle of the road statistically in the NFC last year in all of his stats, but he led a team with poise. And you don't have to be the top passer in the league. That's one of the reasons why Drew Brees has 5,000 yards every year.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not winning. Okay?
Yeah, he knows how to throw the ball. That's absolutely true. I mean, Big C, I tell you, that's, go ahead, C, finish up.
Zach knows how to win. So, but you know, it's going to be interesting in the NFC East, Charlton. You know, and it's always the team that you expect to do well that doesn't do well. No one expected anything from Scott at quarterback, Charlton.
Yeah.
Everybody was saying they would be a 5 for their team. But the team that trusts all year long. So, yeah.
And I know we're still having a little bit of trouble with the mic, Big C, but I do want to finish up by saying, you know, a lot of good things happen in our country when people are not afraid to talk. And I'm so proud of our country. I'm so proud of people, Big C, who are not afraid to engage in dialogue. It doesn't have to be comfortable. Sometimes the best things happen after pain. And if you're telling the truth, every coin has two sides. And so we're not always right 100% of the time. We're not always wrong. But the great thing about our country, and no one can refute this, we have the right to agree and disagree. As long as we have the right thing in mind, we're always going to find out, you know what, we are okay. We do have a lot more in common than we do not in common. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bandini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He had a slogan called Rumble, Young Man Rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charles, we got a lot of preseason games in that. We got about 5 of them. So, you know, it's getting to the time where teams are getting pretty set with their rosters. You're going to see some more plays by the veterans, you know, playing at least, you know, a quarter of a game tonight. But, it's only one cut down in the NFL this year, so there's going to be a lot of unhappy guys come Labor Day that are out there looking for a job.
Yeah, well, that's big true. I mean, it's part of what they say. It's all fair in love and war. And speaking of all fair, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south. We want to tell you, there's never, ever any reason to hit a woman. If you know any woman going through that garbage, just call 911 so she won't have to deal with that garbage all on her own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic weekend.